Welcome, everyone, to a special edition of the Chris Parrish Podcast. My name is Chris Parrish, and I once again apologize to every single one who was expecting me to go live at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time. But unfortunately, life got in the way, and we needed to get a new hot water tank, and the installation happened to be this morning, which took my studio platform just away from me for the morning, so I apologize, but that was because of this time change. Nonetheless, I appreciate everyone sticking around, being loyal, and checking out episode 98. Say his name. But first things first, we must get with all the plugs. That's right, the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. If you want to check out Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, go and check out turnbucklestudios.org, the official homepage of Turnbuckle Studios. And you have a plethora of options, whether you get a chance to kind of just read the bios of everyone involved, get a chance to look at all the latest episodic shows. But if you want to hit join, and if you want to join the team, go to turnbucklestudios.org/join. And then also, beercadewhyte, proud sponsor and a proud partner of the Chris Parrish Podcast, located on 10544 82nd Ave in Edmonton, Alberta. They are the host of all AEW and WWE major PLEs and pay-per-views. They also do a lot of trivia nights, and they also have a lot of fun games to play. They are a little bit of an arcade, a little bit of a bar, a little bit of a dance floor, but a lot of all right. So that is beercadewhyte. But before I get to anything, let me just showcase to you what we do, in fact, have at carlcarafel.redbubble.com.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at carlcarafel.redbubble.com.
That's right, the online merch store of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, Turnbuckle Studios, is carlcarafel.redbubble.com. So if you want to pick up a little bit of swag, or maybe even just any piece of product that you can find that makes a difference in your life, and slap one of our logos on it, that is the place to go. Now everybody here say his name and they believe in Joe Hendry, but what we saw just this past Tuesday at TNA Impact, which, by the way, during that Mike Santana entrance, you might have saw a familiar face. I hear he goes live mostly on 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. Sorry, I had to give myself a little bit of a jab for today. But Joe Hendry faced off against Eric Young in a no disqualifications match, and it just seemed different. It just seemed a little different that he not only had this match, he didn't even wrestle in his proper gear. He had the long white pants on. Something just felt off, and for me, it felt a little weird. He did lose that match. No shenanigans involved. It really seemed to me that Joe Hendry might have just performed his swan song with total nonstop action. Now, that is strictly my opinion. But then when you factor in the rumors as of late that he was being dissolved with ongoing storylines in TNA and being more heavily focused at NXT, and then you look at NXT Homecoming, you see this new intro to the show that features Joe Hendry himself with name. And then all of a sudden, Bobby Roode flat out says, now that you're in NXT, all the signs point that Joe Hendry and his future will be with NXT. So as we properly call the show Say His Name, we must believe that the end could be near or could already have happened for Joe Hendry in TNA. But as we gear up for, Bound for Glory, that goes later tonight, they have Hall of Fame as they decide to say thank you to the contributions for people from the past, people like Mickie James, people like the Beautiful People, and more. In the current day, I think it is very much appropriate to say thank you to Joe Hendry for his contributions and for what he has done for TNA. The last year and a half has been nothing short but remarkable, as Joe Hendry really set a lot of history. Became the first male TNA heavyweight champion to appear at the Royal Rumble. He also wrestled Randy Orton at WrestleMania as TNA World Champion. One might say that, the doors were open before when we saw Mickie James do the unthinkable for the first time ever, as she brought a TNA championship onto WWE television. And then we saw Jordynne Grace do the same just a year ago. But in February, we saw Joe Hendry do it for the first time on the men's side. And because of that, he garnered so much attention, garnered so much publicity, whether it was just his catchy theme songs or even the actions that he's had. He's had great matches with total nonstop action. He has great storylines, great moments, whether it's every time you say his name and he appeared, or anytime he was in the ring with a guitar and he decided to sing you a song. But on top of all of that, going number one on the Billboard charts in UK, well, maybe not number one, but, at one point his theme song was doing better than a Taylor Swift song. And that's pretty much saying a lot, knowing that Taylor Swift is a big deal. But then you saw what he was able to do in terms of moments in WWE, whether it was through NXT or his appearances at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, and then sometimes even at the European live events. Joe Hendry captivated a lot of people. Now, the timing of this couldn't be any better because Joe Hendry has been proudly believed to want a match with John Cena. And we all know that John Cena retires in just over 2 months. Today, his retirement match will be December 13th in Washington, D.C. at Saturday night's main event. So that leaves 2 months for Joe Hendry to potentially get that John Cena match. Whether he gets it, whether he does not, that remains to be seen. But I dare say, I believe TNA was not just a home for Joe Hendry, but it was a resurrection. It was the genesis of Joe Hendry. And it captivated someone that we find as not just entertaining, but a damn good professional wrestler. And now we get to see what potentially could be the next chapter in his career. So first up, I just want to say thank you to Joe Hendry, as we know that today represents not just Bound for Glory, but the induction in the Hall of Fame over at TNA. So let's give Joe Hendry our thanks and our appreciation for giving us an opportunity to believe in Joe Hendry. But as we all know, life continues to push forward, and we must think, what could Joe Hendry have in store? Does he become a mainstay in TN or in NXT, or does he go into a Raw, a SmackDown, and jump straight into the main roster? Who in NXT would you want him to see? Because right away I could give you a name, and that name is Ethan Page, the man that he even faced once for the NXT Championship. Now Ethan Page is the North American champion in NXT and almost seems unbeatable. Could that be a place to start? It's going to be very intriguing to see what the future holds for Joe Hendry. Is this just smoke? And will he actually stay with TNA? Or is this truly the beginning of the WWE run for Joe Hendry? Now, Triple H in the past has told Joe Hendry at WrestleMania this past year that this will be the first of many. So it seems like the brass in WWE believe. We all know Shawn Michaels himself believes. The question is, does the future? So it'll be very intriguing to see where we go, what is done. But as we've been seeing very much a lot of backstage segments in NXT with Joe Hendry, whether it's a confirmation through the intro video or through Bobby Roode himself, it very much seems like Joe Hendry is bound for WWE. Now, with that being said, we cannot sugarcoat the fact that last night we just saw Crown Jewel. Well, last night, yesterday morning, it all depended on who you are, but what a show Crown Jewel was. 5 amazing matches, a swan song to pro wrestling, Triple H said, between John Cena and AJ Styles. But let's get to the opening match of the evening, and that was Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed in an Australian fight, or street fight. Now we saw Braun Breaker get involved. We saw the Usos get involved. We saw shenanigans. But eventually we saw Bronson Reed get that win in front of his live fan base. Well, his countrymen. And he picks up a much-needed win over Roman Reigns. And you have to wonder if that was revenge from the earlier match where he lost. And I know not only just lost, but lost his Shula Fala. No longer he is the tribal thief, but now he has a win over the tribal chief. And because of that, we now have to believe that the duo between Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed is stronger than ever. Simply because they outsmarted and outdid Roman and the Usos, the original bloodline. So when you think about just how dominant Roman Reigns and the Usos were in the past, just look on how simple it really was for Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker to put doubt in each of their minds, to leave them laying, and to get one up. And there was just 2 of them. Usually, we see the vision outnumber their opponents, but this time, they were outnumbered and got the job done. So big win for Bronson Reed, and you have to wonder where this goes. We know Survivor Series is just around the corner. So does a War Games match truly be a part of their vision? We'll find out. We'll find out tomorrow as the Raw Patrol hits you at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Alberta time. It shall be very early. Next up, we had an amazing women's match. A women's match that crowned the Crown Jewel champion between Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton. We saw the WWE World Women's Champion go up against the WWE Women's Champion. And I will say the one thing about this match I was really impressed with was just the cadence of Tiffany Stratton. This was the first time in a match where I felt Tiffany Stratton has officially showed you that she is a true bona fide superstar. And the reason why I say now is because it didn't seem as when she won the champion, she was as confident as she is now. She knows exactly where to go, why to go, and when to go. Whether it's to a different spot, whether it's a movement, everything. It seems like everything is more aware and more just on a different level than what it was. She seems very confident in everything. She seems very much in that zone. She is definitely on a different level than where she has been in her career. And everything seemed motionless. She was able to pause in live speed and just breathe. And not only just breathe, but take control of the situation. And this was the first time I saw that out of Tiffany Stratton. But on her counterpart, we had Stephanie Vaquer, who has been doing that for a very long time. Why? Simply experience. There's nothing short of what both women are capable of. But what we did see was just a fantastic match between one person who has devoted her entire life to pro wrestling versus someone who has now installed their life to pro wrestling. And I say installed simply because Tiffany Stratton was not born to be a pro wrestler, but she lived to want to be a pro wrestler. We all know that she was scouted by the WWE from another field. And that's not a shot to Tiffany Stratton by any means. But it shows you the difference between her and Stephanie Vaquer. It was not that long ago where Stephanie Vaquer slept on the floor of a kitchen just so she can go to wrestling school. There's a dedication that Stephanie Vaquer has done that a lot of pro wrestlers have done, but there's a lot that have not, and that's just showcasing a different lifestyle, different approach to how they became WWE superstars. But as we stay in the match, Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vaquer both had issues with high-risk maneuvers, but it was Stephanie Vaquer who's able to counter and to take opportunity and win that match. It was Stephanie Vaquer's experience that played the difference maker in that match, and because of that, she herself now has a ring on her finger and a second championship around her waist in form of the Crown Jewel Championship. So congratulations to that Primera. Stephanie Vaquer is a 2025 Crown Jewel champion on the women's side. And then we go all the way back to the men's. John Cena versus AJ Styles, who decided to go back in time and wear old school AJ Styles gear. We saw John Cena bring notes to customize an introduction for AJ Styles that he wrote. Calls him the definition of total nonstop action. Reminds everybody that he is the face that runs the place. And once again, says he is phenomenal. Now, we saw so many moves that were as thank you for the people of their past, whether it was John Cena hitting a skull crushing finale, a lion tamer, or the walls of Jericho, as we want to call it. It was the walls. There was no knee down to the lower back. But we also saw, AJ Styles use moves from his past. Finisher move for Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. We saw RKOs. We saw pawn attempts. We saw Sister Abigail. We saw a crossface. We saw so many beautiful callbacks. But on top of that, we saw an amazing match for the very last time in AJ Styles versus John Cena. That's right. For the last time, we saw John Cena go up against AJ Styles, a match that the fans demanded, and a match that, because AJ Styles and John Cena listened to the fans, were able to convince the office it needed to happen. And because of that, they did not disappoint. In fact, in the most amazing way, John Cena and AJ Styles said thank you to the fans who asked for that match, and they did not disappoint. They gave you a match that made you appreciate being a wrestling fan. Because in the past, we have watched pro wrestling and we've had our intelligence insulted. But John Cena and AJ Styles said, no, we are going to show you respect. We are going to say thank you for being a part of our past, being part of our story, and we're going to give that to you one final time. John Cena did get the win, but I think the fans truly won with that match. And I say that not to be a shell or a cop-out, but were you not entertained? And at the end of the day, isn't that what truly matters? Then next up, we had the tag team match of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Some people call them Rio, as they took on the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane and Asuka. And this match also did not disappoint. It blows my mind on the chemistry Rhea Ripley and Io Sky have. They are two people that when they fight each other, it's amazing. When they tag with each other, it's amazing. They cannot do any wrong. We know the fans were behind Rhea Ripley as they were live in Perth, Australia. Rhea's just, born from Adelaide. Not that far, I think. I don't know. I don't know Australia. But we all know who the fan favorites were. You may be able to tell if you watched Crown Jewel. But there's something about heel Asuka that is just on a different level. There's something about Kairi Sane being in a heel group, but getting the opportunity to shine that makes her look like she's on a different level. Mixed in with Rhea and Io, who are fluid. They're a perfect mix of that high flying and physicality. But we all know Kairi Sane and Asuka do the same thing as well. The technicality, the high flying that they possess, it's amazing. And I really wanted Kairi Sane to get the win here. I did not expect her to be pinned. It was obvious that, come on. I think it's safe to say we all knew Rhea Ripley was going to get the win here in front of her home crowd. But I believe that it would have been fantastic to see Kairi Sane win this match and just get a bump up and just showcase why she is on the Asuka level, why she's on the Rhea level, why she's on the EO level. I think a lot of people can admit that when you can look at all four. Yeah, you put Kyrie last, and it's not a disrespect. It's just, 3 are former world champions, and one is not. 2 have won Royal Rumbles, and the other one has, gone on to WrestleMania as champion. And then Kairi Sane has just been, sadly, a tag team champion on the main roster. So I would like to see a little bit more for Kairi Sane. I think in ring she is so good, but I'd like to see her kind of break out a little bit. And I really thought she could have benefited from pinning a Io Sky or a Rhea Ripley. Man, how much heat would Kairi Sane have got if she was to get that pinfall on Rhea Ripley in front of her home country. And then next up, we had Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. And what can you say when you talk about bad matches not being a thing? Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins can't have one either. With all the tributes to Dusty and that, whether it's from the polka dots, whether it's from the shake, rattle, and roll. But then also, if you looked at Seth Rollins' gear, it very much looked like it was a collection of all previous times he fought Cody Rhodes in the last, or when Cody Rhodes came back to the WWE. And it was just the throwbacks and the callbacks in this match were just fantastic, especially with Stardust when you saw the handspring and the Stardust impression there by Seth Rollins. It was just fantastic, and it was good. Seth Rollins did, though, get the win, becoming your men's Crown Jewel champion, and I thought that was the right move. Why? Because if Seth Rollins in this time lost, you'd have to ask, where does this leave Seth Rollins? Because we've always heard that there was this big competitiveness between him and Roman Reigns of who was number one. And then with a 3-year title reign, Roman Reigns clearly stated he was number one. But Seth Rollins always continues to fight and fight and fight. He scratches, he claws, he does everything he can. So when he's finally at that point where Paul Heyman joins him at WrestleMania, he then shocks everyone and then is the founder of the Vision, becomes World Heavyweight Champion with the ruse of the century, goes in to face Cody Rhodes after being down 3-0 in the previous match. You have to wonder if he loses. Not only is he the second best champion, but does his group even think he's the best? Paul Heyman even said, if you lose the Vision, you lose him. You lose everything. So in a must-win scenario for Seth Rollins did what he had to do, and that was win. So your Crown Jewel champions coming out of Crown Jewel yesterday were Seth Rollins for the men's and Stephanie Vaquero for the women. So congratulations to them. As we will see now what the Vision holds for the future. Again, as we hit Monday Night Raw tomorrow morning with the Raw Patrol. Now, I've talked about the Raw Patrol, but there's a lot of other amazing shows here on the Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. So let me just show you. But first off, if you want to be a part of some of these watch-alongs, if you want to be a part of some of these shows, or even have a show on this calendar and be a part of our team, I've told you earlier, go to turnbucklestudios.org/join. But if you need a visual, check this out.
A Turnbuckle Affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, video games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, and we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
And if you want more information about all that, turnbucklestudios.org, that official homepage and website of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, is the place to go. One thing to also check out, we do have PLE Patrols. That is not on the weekly calendar, but it is definitely another show that you can check out on the Turnbuckle Studios platform. Now, as we talked about Crown Jewel, we definitely talked about Joe Hendry, but Bound for Glory is later tonight. And just a little bit of update. Stay tuned, as there might not be a Bound for Glory watch party with Bubba Duke. He is dealing with some issues right now, but if by chance he is, please check that out, because Bound for Glory tonight is going to be an amazing show, and I definitely want to talk a little about it. So here we go. There are, I believe, 9 matches on the card. Some of them are probably going to be pre-show or right before the actual show, but let's get to them, starting with what could be on the pre-show. And one, I think right away, is the Call Your Shot Intergender Gauntlet. Very much could be on that pre-show. It might not be, but again, this is all just speculative. I have no idea what is official, but all these matches definitely are a part of the card. But the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, it's 20 people. Intergender is an option. I would love to see, somebody like Josh Briggs or Matt Cardona be a part of this, as they're not a part on the show in other ways. But I'd like to see, some NXT involvement. I don't know how possible this is, as they were in Australia yesterday, but given the TNA inspired gear that AJ Styles made, man, wouldn't it be something if AJ Styles came out and won that Call Your Gauntlet match? Like, just how amazing and that would that be, and what a moment that would be to see AJ Styles back in a TNA wrestling ring in physical form. So yeah, but if I'm gonna predict someone to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, for the men's, I'm trying to think of who's really not on the show. You know what? Give me Jody Threat for the women if she is in there. But if it's a male winning this match, then please give me Matt Cardona. And then next up, we have a one-on-one match between Tessa Blanchard and Gia Miller. Now, Gia Miller is not just a backstage personality or, a non-performer. She really much is, and she has an opportunity to show you just how well she can, as she takes on, in my eyes, one of the best knockouts in TNA in Tessa Blanchard. I will still remember the match she had with Jordan Grace earlier this year in January, and it still might be up there with one of my favorite matches of this year. But Tessa Blanchard versus Gia Miller is going to be a match I'm very intrigued about because I know how good Tessa Blanchard is. I am not familiar with Gia Miller as an in-ring competitor, so I'm going to predict that Tessa Blanchard gets the win here, but I very much want to see what Gia Miller brings to this table because this has to, in my eyes, set up for something else and something bigger. So I'm very much curious. Maybe, just maybe, Gia Miller could be a pawn on maybe we get a Tessa Blanchard versus Mickie James match. Maybe. Just going to throw it out there as, we know Mickie James is going to be there. She's being inducted in the Hall of Fame. So maybe she just brings down the hardcore country a little bit and takes out on one Tessa Blanchard. Who knows? Next up, we do have a match for the International Championship, and that is Frankie Kazarian taking on Steve Maclin. That's right. The current champion versus the inaugural champion in the rematch, because Kazarian did defeat Steve Maclin for that International Championship, and I think this match is going to be a lot like the first one, but I think now Maclin has something worth fighting for. It's redemption. And I think that is a little scary knowing Steve Maclin's past. But will Steve Maclin be emotionally capable of not fighting with his emotion, but staying true to the task at hand, that is reclaiming the International Championship? That's going to be the question, because the one thing we know from Frankie Kazarian is he does whatever he has to do to get the job done, and he has absolutely no second thought about doing the unthinkable. So this is going to be an intriguing match, but I do have Frankie Kazarian finding a way to retain that International Championship. So, but I'm very much looking forward to this match because it's going to be hard hitting. It is going to be fast paced. It's going to be one that you cannot miss. And speaking of fast paced, hard hitting, but I'm going to more or less go with high pace, but very much a lot of high flying. I'm going towards that X Division Championship match, and that is going up against Javon Evans from NXT as he challenges Leon Slater, your X Division champion. And this match is a match that as soon as you heard about NXT and TNA and that working relationship, this was a match that I think a lot of people put on their bank card of saying, this is a match I want to see. And tonight we get to see it. Leon Slater, Javon Evans, X Division Championship. I do believe Leon Slater will get the job done. He will retain his X Division Championship, but I want to know what these two are going to do. And I'll be the first one to say, I am not usually a fan of spots and just spot. But if I don't get all the spots in this match, I will be disappointed because sometimes when you just have two people who can just show off and showcase, that's all you want. So it's going to be competitive. It's going to be fun to watch. It is going to be jaw-dropping. But Leon Slater versus Javon Evans, X Division Championship tonight. I got Leon Slater. Who do you have? And then we go to a couple tag matches, and one it's for the Knockout Tag Team Championships, and that is the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand. That's right, a rematch, as the Inspiration won the Knockouts tag titles just over 10 days ago, and because of that rematch clause is in full motion as the Elegance brand are going and vying for their rematch, and then they have a chance to reclaim their Knockout tag team titles. So that is something that it's going to be very intriguing to see. So I do not believe they are going to get the titles back. I do think the Inspiration are just on a different wavelength right now. So I have the Inspiration retaining the Knockouts tag titles and taking it. I think I don't foresee them losing these titles anytime soon. I think they are going to be your tag team champions going into 2026. And then we go into another tag team match, and this is a different one. This is Hardcore War between the System and Order 4. That's right. Moose is with GBC, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Alicia Edwards as they take on Mustafa Ali, Agent Zero, Jason Hotch, and John Skyler alongside Tasha Steeles. And this is a match where it's going to get violent and it's going to go. And I am very intrigued about this match. I have seen a lot out of the System, and I've become a huge fan of the System. And their theme song is just too damn catchy now. It gives me a little bit of Bullet Club vibes. It gives me a little bit of Joe Hendry vibes, and the catchiness of it, and just trust the System is like the Bullet Club for life thing. Like, it just, a lot of that just reminds me of it. But it's a good theme song. I love the entrance video with the rings, like the kind of the championship rings to signify the members. I think that's fantastic. I have to think that's most likely a Moose idea. Has to be a Moose idea. I know he's the big athletic one out of everyone. He was the one that used to be in the NFL, I think. So, yeah. But Order 4, though, on the other side, though, amazing. I'm a huge fan of Jason Hotch. He is really becoming one of my favorite in-ring competitors in TNA to watch. I know he's in the tag team with John Scott right now, but I really love him, and just watching a lot of what he does. But also Mustafa Ali. I mean, if anybody saw him versus Ethan Page, they stole the show. And Mustafa Ali is, quite honestly, one of the best in-ring competitors that nobody is pegging to be world champion. And I have a thought that in 2026, Bound for Glory next year, Mustafa Ali better be going up against Mike Santana for that championship. That is a feud I want to see, and that is something I think we need to see in TNA at some point. But I do have the System winning this match, but I'd be very intrigued to think if one of these groups either has a new member or we see this continue to eventually go to a match where the losing group must disband. I just have a feeling that this is not the end of this, but Hardcore War, it's hard. It's hard not to think it will be, but that's just, just my thought. It is Bound for Glory, though, so it might very well be the end. But anyway, next up, we do have the Knockouts Championship match. We have Kalani Jordan taking on Indy Hartwell. Kalani Jordan won the championship at Victory Road. She goes up against Indy Hartwell, who is the #1 contender, and I do believe that Indy Hartwell will become your Knockouts champion. And as much as I think Kalani Jordan has actually done quite a good job of Knockouts champion, and I think she's just she was put in a very difficult position as Ash by Elegance had to take herself out of pro wrestling for the time being to focus on I'm assuming health related matters. It was a tough situation for Kalani Jordan, but I do believe that we're focusing on what's next for the knockout division, and I think that's Indy Hartwell being the focus, as I think now we are more convinced than ever that TNA will not pick up or renew the contract to Masha Slamovich. So when that contract runs out, I do believe she will be gone. So you are looking for that new next babyface star in the knockouts division. I think Indy Hartwell is that person, and I do think Indy Hartwell versus Tessa Blanchard could very well be that feud going into 2026 for the over the knockouts title. So I do think that's kind of the direction there. So Indy Hartwell, I predict, will be your next knockouts champion. And then we go into what I think is going to be the main or the co-main event of the night, and that is one last time the Hardys versus Team 3D, aka the Dudley Boys, as they're in a tables match. And it's not just for the TNA tag team titles, but also now the NXT tag team titles. That's right, because the Hardys became NXT tag team champions at the NXT Showdown show, as it was title versus title, winner take all. So for the TNA and NXT championships in a tables match, Hardys versus Team 3D. And if this doesn't scream Jeff Hardy swantoning bombing his way, probably on a Bubba through a table to win this match, I just can't see how any other way would be. But it's going to be very, very fun to see this. Who would have thought that within 24 hours or within the same weekend, at the very least, of seeing AJ Styles and John Cena one last time, you are getting the Hardys and Team 3D one last time. Just two different eras of pro wrestling saying goodbye. What a weekend. What a weekend. Next up is your main event of the match. It is Trick Williams versus Mike Santana. And let's just admit that Trick Williams, as much as we, as fans, didn't understand or maybe didn't really want Trick Williams to dethrone Joe Hendry as TNA champion, he was the perfect villain to be your TNA world champion. The Trick and A stuff was fantastic. Trick Williams as champion for TNA has been nothing short of brilliant. And I think he is the perfect villain to set up which should be the dawning of a new era in TNA, and that is Mike Santana being your next world champion. I do believe Mike Santana will win championship. He will defeat Trick Williams. And I think we're going to go out of Bound for Glory as Mike Santana being that person to bring the TNA championship back to TNA. And that would be nothing short of beautiful and amazing. I think this story has been great. I'm very much looking forward to this match. I want to see just how much Santana fights. I do believe he is going to give it everything you have, and I do think this is going to be a performance of his lifetime. But I also want to see what, in my eyes, is a swan song to not only TNA, but even potentially NXT for Trick Williams, as I do think he is more than prime to move up to a Raw or SmackDown pretty soon. So, yeah, that is my those are my predictions for Bound for Glory that happens tonight. As confirmation, there is no Bound for Glory watch party. Sadly, there's just scenarios beyond control, and that is why. But fear not, because Brace for Impact will return on Thursday. That is for sure. So do not worry about that. But yeah, just programming note that there will be no Bound for Glory tonight, as much as there also won't be a Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke either, unless we see OMD take the reins, which I do not think will be a thing. But so programming note, most likely nothing on the Turnbuckle Studios front tonight, but it'll set the stage for a beautiful wake-up edition of Monday Night Raw on the Raw Patrol. So, and one last time, let's play our trifecta, our hat trick of videos, starting with the Redbubble Then going to the help wanted ad to finish off one last time with the calendar as we start going towards the end of the show. So thank you guys. Let's watch some videos and then I will have an announcement right after that.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. l.redbubble.com.
I forgot did the next one.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today. I want you to tap in.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we go TNA when we brace for Impact Eastern. Friday we secure all details as we answer the call for the SmackDown security detail at 8 p.m. Eastern. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
Yes, those are all the shows on the schedule for the Turnbuckle Studios on the weekly calendar. And once again, go to turnbucklestudios.org for all information about the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And then please hit /join if you are seriously intrigued and interested on joining our team and becoming a new member of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Big thanks to our proud partner of beercadewhyte, located at 105 482nd Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta. I cannot wait to go there next. I'm assuming Survivor Series might just be that time, but in the future, we will see. Now, speaking of the future, this has been episode 98. Say his name, but one last thing, I will let everybody know that on episode 99, that's right, we got Where Do We Go? Now, you might ask yourself, what do you mean, where do we go? And you'll have to tune in next week, but episode 99, now if you get that reference, leave a comment as you can throw a comment down on the Chris Parrish Podcast Live on Spotify. So, yeah, make sure that you're hitting that there. If you want a chance to hit me up on my Linktree /Chris Parrish, it is right down there below. That would be a great way to not only follow, but showcase support. So, like, follow all that good stuff on the channels. Please, if you're on the Spotify and you're checking the Chris Parrish Podcast out, to rate every episode. But yeah, where do we go? That is going to be a fun thing. So, come next Sunday, which we will return to the 12:15 p.m. Eastern time slot. Once again, I do apologize for everyone for the time change. That was not something that was expected, but you know, when life throws your curveballs, you still do what you can to hit a home run. So that's all you can do. The big announcement is that I will be returning to doing NXT watch parties. So I do have to just make sure that everything is in order. But I do believe the next one is Halloween Havoc. So I I do believe that I will be doing a live watch party for NXT Halloween Havoc, and this time I might decide to have some guests and have some fun and truly turn a watch party into some tailgating, so we'll have some good times. But yeah, this has been episode 98. Say his name, Chris Parrish Podcast. I want to say thank you. I want to let everybody know that I appreciate every bit of support. But one last time, I will say, I hope that you're happy. I hope that you are healthy. Be yourself and be proud, because at the end of the day, you matter. I'll see you next week. And happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian viewers.
Rip through the clouds, faster, catch us from falling close to the ground. Perish or try.